is a huge, huge honor for me today. In fact, it's such an honor. This is the only podcast I ever did where I actually put a shirt and tie on because you're just such the man. Randy Alvarez. He's the guy who pioneered the Wellness Hour TV show. Let me read his bio. In 1998, Randy Alvarez launched the effort that would become the Wellness Hour TV show. Since then, more than 1,200 episodes have been produced and have featured some of the nation's leading medical and dental specialists. His company is the #1 producer of medical and dental documentaries in the world. The Wellness Hour news interview has become a social media and television platform for doctors to educate the public about their specialty. Doctors report that they attract hundreds of new patients to their practices. Each week, the Wellness Hour TV show airs in more than 70 million homes across the United States and Canada. Alvarez has transformed the show's website, thewellnesshour.com, or just wellnesshour.com, WELLNESSHOWR, wellnesshour.com, into an extensive online medical resource for both doctors and the public. His newest project, Alvarez University, is an online interactive communication training program for dentists and their teams with hundreds of online training modules. It's the fastest growing communication training program in dentistry today. He has personally media coached over 3,000 licensed healthcare practitioners on a one-on-one basis, getting them ready for TV. He is endorsed by Nobel, Biocare, and Henry Schein. Henry Schein Dental have the Wellness Hour and Randy Alvarez and their list of services. He also directs and produces all of the long-form advertising for Clear Choice Dental Implant Centers. He is a sought-after speaker, and we're excited to have him on our program today. How are you doing, Randy?
I'm doing good today.
My gosh, I've watched so many of your videos, and your orthodontist Ann.
Oh, is that right? Okay, good.
Yeah, I follow her on Google Plus, and Ann's a big role model, idol of mine. So tell me, so you're talking to thousands of dentists. They're all on their smartphone. They're all commuting to work. Our brand's an hour because that's actually the average one-way commute for a dentist, and that's about 80%. 20% have a 30-minute commute and listen to half the show on the way there, half the show back. So in a nutshell, what are you doing this for? Is it mainly an external marketing, an online digital marketing platform? So let's say you're in Parsons, Kansas. Okay. And I fly all the way to see you, Randy Alvarez, and outside of San Diego and Carlsbad, California. We film. What is your average program length?
So the programs are all 28 minutes long. It's long. 28? It's called in the industry. It's called long form advertising, is what it is. And on any given day, we take about 3 to 5 medical doctors or dentists get on a plane and fly to our Carlsbad. We're in San Diego, right across from the beach. They fly in here, and we write, direct, and produce these 30-minute real infomercials, these newsroom interviews.
You do 3 or 4 a day?
A week, 3 to 5 a week.
Oh, okay, 3 to 5.
It's about as much as I can do because there's a lot of planning that goes into it, helping them with their message. On any given day, I'm helping a medical doctor or dentist, helping them deliver their message in a clear and compelling way based on results and at the emotional level. And I'm also listening on any given day to a dentist explain themselves about what they do. And I always say that after all of these years, 16 years of listening to dentists, I'm more confused about the bite than ever. So I don't know who to believe these days on that. But it's good. I've anticipated this interview for quite some time, and I was excited about it because it seems like there's a shift. The shift is happening that I remember because in 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, people that were doing my program, in fact, any type of, as you call it, external marketing, they were hitting the lotto. They were doing very well. And then the economy hit in 2011, and things changed. Well, in the last 16 months, I make money if my clients make money, and it seems that we're back. And the results have been fantastic across the board.
So, cut to the chase, what does this cost a dentist to do this?
Yeah, so for example, right now, for $13,495, I guess somebody was showing me a massage chair in a dental office. So for $13,495, I write, direct, and produce a 9-video package, one 30-minute program for TV, and 8 short videos that are used on the website, on YouTube, with Google, in the reception area, etc. But the key to
One 30-minute and 8
and
short.
8 short 1 to 5 minute videos.
8 short 1 to 5.
Yeah. And by the way, Howard, are people watching this as well? There's people that can see this video?
Yeah,
Or is it just audio?
We put audio on iTunes, and then we put audio and then separate audio video on Dental Town, and then we put the video on YouTube. And they're all kind of different demographics. On Dental Town, it's all townies. On YouTube, it's a visual, and iTunes is phenomenally. It's probably 80-20, 80% America, 20% all the other countries on the checkbox.
Okay, good. Now,
And the show's doing so well because it's free and it's easy. I mean, it's mostly their smartphone. Most everybody tells me the same thing. They're in their car, they go to Bluetooth, they put it on, and they're listening to it on their car on the way there. Now, some people come home and throw it up on YouTube on their big screen and just watch. So it's really neat. It's a massively fast growing show. I mean, we've been doing it for about a year.
You know, everybody needs a coach. I'm a big, and I'll listen to a podcast or I'll attend a lecture or a seminar, and I'll pick up one thing, one distinction that literally puts me and moves me as a company and our team in a different direction. So it's great that you have this type of format. It's much needed in dentistry also, and because of your big name, you're one of the biggest names in dentistry, right? I think everybody knows who you are.
I have the biggest gut in dentistry, not the biggest name, just a big gut. But so basically I assume dentists would only want to spend $13,495 and fly out to Carlsbad if they thought they were going to get some new patients on the deal. So the dentist flies out to Carlsbad. You produce this 30-minute infomercial and 8 short videos, I assume, for the dentist website. On that video, are you recommending like you find your local cable? Because this is my story on cable. Okay. So it used to be when I got out of school, it was just television stations, and they broadcast to the whole valley of Phoenix, Arizona, and then everybody was getting cable, right? And then cable, if you bought an ad, it had to go for the whole 3.5 million metro, and you couldn't afford that. Only big car dealers and big local people could do that. But now the cable, and I'm in Arizona, which is all Cox. They say I can play infomercial and I can just buy a region, so I don't have to buy the whole. Because in Phoenix, I the people that I advertise to in North Phoenix, that's an hour drive because I'm in South Phoenix. And then, yeah. In fact, Phoenix, the metro is so huge. I don't know if you realize this, but if you're in the northeast, Sun City, and you drive clear across Phoenix to the southwest, Queen Creek, on an interstate going 70 miles an hour, it takes you an hour and a half. So is the real value added because now you can put these infomercials on cable where you just are playing it to a small 100,000, 200,000 people within a 10-mile drive of your dental office? Is that the real value proposition?
Yeah, well,
or not? Or is this
here's the thing.
Or is this a Google search engine optimization?
Well, this is it's all of those things, and this is a big discussion. So 16 years ago, I was in practice with a medical doctor in Palm Springs, California. Weather like what you have, Howard, over there in Arizona. And the cable company came to us and said, why don't you do an infomercial? And I said, there's no way I'm going to cheapen the doctor with some cheesy infomercial. And they said to me, how much do you think you could buy 8 o'clock at night, 8 p.m., Channel 7, hitting the whole Coachella Valley, Palm Springs, La Quinta, Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage, etc. And I said, I don't know, you tell me. And they said, no, guess. And I said, $30,000. And they said, it's $150 per half hour, a full half hour prime time. And that's when I walked into the doctor, my partner, and I said, we have just hit the lottery. And by the way, that's the price of it today. In Arizona, where you are, I pulled up some numbers. In Arizona, I could buy Channel 7 for $275 primetime evening, hitting actually the whole area. And I pulled some stats, and the reason why people want to do this, it's not because, and I'm careful not to, not because I'm a nice guy or because we have a wonderful team and all those things that we think are true, or I'm a great listener. There's a lot of doctors on their website talk about themselves and how different they are. But the reason why they should do business with you or any doctor is the results you get. And so in Arizona alone, we have Clear Choice, right? Whether you like them or not. We have a train coming by in the background.
Did you ever meet the founder of Clear Choice, Don?
Yeah,
Maloney?
I've spent some time with Don Maloney. In fact, we're going to work on a project together, and it was very interesting.
Is he coming out to Carlsbad?
He is going to have other people do it. I'm not going to interview him.
Yeah.
But we met. I picked his brain.
He's an amazing genius.
Smart
that
guy.
Guy's a freak genius.
Yeah, and this new business, he's not even going to start the new business until he gets before and after photos and video testimonials. But
what's his new business?
His new, it's a bit private, but it has to do with dental implants.
This is Dentistry Uncensored, man. You can say anything. Forget HIPAA, forget privacy.
Kind of a new type of a denture done right there on the spot with the patient there that may or may not be attached to a couple of dental implants. And that's kind of as much as I'm able to say.
It's an instant denture?
Yes, and it's unlike any other denture. It's pretty unique, and it's really cool.
Well, not to get off topic, but that affordable denture clinic, that's been around for like 80 years, probably the first major.
That's how he started, by the way.
Affordable denture clinics?
Well, he started with the same concept.
Yeah.
That's how he made his fortune was dentures.
Yeah, and that company has like 450 locations, and they're just crushing it. I mean, they've just been going and going and going. I mean, it's amazing how if you do one thing right, you can really go far in America.
Yeah, and when I said at the beginning that things are back, in Arizona, for example, we do this 30-mile narrow topic exclusive. Clear Choice is doing, and I got the exact number, they're doing about 25 to 1 on their money every month. For every dollar they spent, they get 25 to 1. I know that Gordon Wilson gets about 100 new patients a month talking about laser dentistry. Winter Haller is getting about 15 to 1 every month on his money. And so you said, why would people do this? It's really a huge return on their investment. Every major hospital, by the way, and I want to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about long form advertising, and then also, and these are 30-minute blocks that are cheap, okay? Like Santa Barbara, California, I could buy 8 o'clock in the morning next to the Today Show on Channel 8 for $35. And that's really the secret. That means forget Randy Alvarez or forget the Wellness Hour. I say cash in on your passion with a 30-minute program that you can air on local TV. Howard, here's what and this was my concept when I first heard this. I didn't care about the production. When I heard I could buy a half hour cheap, that's how I got in the business. So with you, Howard, if you just got a tripod and you've got and let's say you wanted to market to dental implant patients, and you got some people in their 60s and 70s, and you put them in your reception area, bad lighting, maybe tape it with an iPhone, even bad audio, and you talk about the options for denture wearers: 2 snap in, snap out, 4 snap in, snap out, 4 fixed, full arch of teeth on 6 implants, whatever, right? You can eat, you can chew, you can laugh. If you just aired that on TV, chances are you'd get about 30 consults a month at a cost of about $400 a week. So it's really an inexpensive way, and that's why Mayo Clinic is doing it. I'm in San Diego. Sharp has their own infomercial. And, but the challenge is because the reason why airtime is so cheap is because infomercials generally cost about $75,000. If you hire a director that's never directed an infomercial that's worked before, about $75,000. If you hire one that's done about 3 or 4 infomercials, he's produced or directed, it's about $150,000. Again, this is a person with 0 track record. If you pay $500,000, then you get a director like from Guthrie Rinker with a proven track record. So with a $500,000 entry level, guess what? Very few people have infomercials. So the cable companies and the broadcast networks have all this available airtime that's dirt cheap. And so I try to figure out a way, how can I put together the least expensive program, a 30-minute program. That's where I came up with 13.4. When I'm done, it's about $12 an hour. But I came up with an inexpensive program that the entry level was low. It's a one-time fee, and then they could pay as they go. They want to air it once a week, once a month, or never air it. And that's been the model. And where I make my money is if you're successful airing my show, that's how I get paid. So for my own selfish reasons, my goal is that if you get stuck airing this forever, I make a 15% licensing fee because we're an advertising agency. So if you spend $1,000 a month, I make $150 a month. Now we're doing currently well over $1 million a month in airtime paid for by the doctors. We're all over the U.S., all over Canada. So long form advertising is strong, and I think that we still have about another 5 years of long form for people to really cash in on this, whether you use me or do it on your own. And we can, tell you how to do it on your own. But content is the key here. There's two types of marketing. And by the way, obviously, creating a unique experience, and there's maximizing your patient share, and then there's maximizing your market share. So today's discussion, by the way, and you have to have your practice, your product in line, a staged experience. That's good for word of mouth, and that builds business and great recall and all of those things. I'm not saying that that's not important. That's the key. Now, second to that, and by the way, dentistry, and I read books. I feel like I'm an advertising and marketing historian. In dentistry is the only place I hear external marketing, internal marketing. They just call it advertising, or they call it, creating this unique experience, or internal marketing. Because marketing, for a working definition today, is really every bit of contact you have with a patient. And so advertising is also PR. It's public relations. In fact, we call it education marketing, because you could have the world's most boring talk on dental implants or smile design, put it on TV, and right now, chances are you're going to more than double your money every single month. It's really been a home run, but it's got to be based on results, about improving your smile, about improving your charisma, etc. And that's why literally the biggest names in dentistry use our show to attract new patients, whether it's Bill Dorfman or Clear Choice, or our newest Pacific Dental Services now is going to launch this across the country. But my typical client
who's going to launch it across the country?
Pacific Dental Services. We're starting in New Mexico.
With Steve Thorne?
I don't know. I don't know the CEO or the president.
The founder is Steve Thorne.
Yeah, I don't know him.
He's an amazing man. Just call him up, meet him. His dad was a dentist, and then he was sitting there thinking, I'm going to be a dentist like my dad. And then he's looking at 8 years of college, and he says, God dang, why do you have to go to dental school to own a dental office? By 8 years out, I could have 5 offices. Now he has 500 offices and 3 Learjets. I mean, the guy is, and I keep making that point because dentists spend so much time doing the dentistry, they don't spend any time working on the business of dentistry like this. And then if you look at the guy who has the most dental offices, Rick Workman, who has 1,500 offices, he's a dentist. He hasn't touched a patient in 20 years. Another one is Rick Kirshner of Comfort Dental. He hasn't touched a patient in 20 years. He's a dentist, and he has 350 offices. And I keep, when I...
Do they advertise, by the way, Howard?
Do they advertise? Oh, my God, they have advertising departments. And
there you go.
That's the point I'm trying to make, is that a dentist always thinks they're going to solve all their problems by learning a new recipe on how to do a crown or an occlusion or an implant. And here's Clear Choice. They don't even teach their doctors how to place implants. They go find periodontist and oral surgeons that have already placed 10,000 and have them just come in and pay them a percentage of the fee. Most dentists that are spending all their life learning how to place implants could have just had a higher return on investment if they just found a periodontist or an oral surgeon in the next town to come in one Friday a month and place all their implants. I mean, so it's tough because all my requests for podcasts are going to be on a new recipe. They want to hear from endodontists, periodontists, pedodontists. They want to learn how to fix teeth. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all dentists. And so I'm always trying to tease in guys, mastermind geniuses like yourself to say, yeah, but if you do that all the time, somebody's got to work on the business. And that's why I called you to talk today. By the way, just for the kids, a lot of these guys are young. Is there a difference between marketing and advertising? Because you always hear marketing and advertising. Does one word get it all, or is there a difference between marketing and advertising?
Well, everything is marketing. That means every bit of contact you have with the client, with the patient, is marketing. Advertising is more, you're paying for advertising. And so that working definition. But here's the other thing I got to tell you: when you look at these big companies, guys spending $100,000 a month or spending $30,000 a month. There's a guy in your neck of the woods spending $30,000 a month on Google search, doing very well. But
A dentist?
yes,
Who the hell is that? Is that Gordon?
It's
Gordon
Winter
Wilson?
Holler.
Now, it's Winter Holler. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Now he's an implant guru.
Yes, that's what his focus is. Yes.
Yeah. So he's paying $30,000 a month to build his implant practice.
But here,
and Gordon Wilson.
And I know he does. Yeah, and I know he does
now.
about $3 million just from that. But Gordon Wilson, who I saw him at a lecture saying that my show that he spends about $8,000 a month doing brings him like $300,000 a month. So he may be exaggerating a little bit, right?
No, these are good guys. These are in my backyard. They have stellar reputations. In fact, you know what we ought to do? Because what I really want to do is just I want to get her done. I want to get information in the dentist's head. We should. These guys are both my friends. You should call them up and tell them to. They can come by my home. I'm in Ahwatukee. Or me and Ryan, who's my tech guy, my son, can go to their office. But we ought to put up yours and then follow it by Gordon and then Winter Holler. So it'd be like a wham bam tram. So they'll get a big dose of this, and maybe it'll get some mind share in their space.
Yes,
you
yes.
want to do that?
Tell you something, and I want to tell you something.
What do you think of that idea?
I think it's great. But here's the key. This is what I want people to know: that you could start small. These guys start small, $10 a day. And, for example, some of the guys I've mentioned, $10 a day, and then they got some results, and then they went to that's $300 a month, and then they started going $20 a day, and then $100 a day. They paid as they go, and that's my philosophy with advertising. That number one, to quote Bill Dorfman, who we're on a project together with Cosmetic Dentistry, but Bill Dorfman said, look, find something that works and do more of it. And that's the key here. So if you could find something that works, spend a little bit more, and you have to have a marketing mix like anything else, because not everybody watches TV, I'm fully aware. And that's why, as they say, Gretzky said, skate to where the puck is going. And where the puck is going when it comes to marketing, advertising, social media, etc., it's video on the web. Video is almost three-dimensional. You feel like you get to know the person. So the next thing is, what's my content going to be? And that's a separate issue, because I see so many dentists in pursuit of trying to differentiate themselves. Their videos, they spend all of their time talking about how they're different. Now, Howard, I'm recently single. If I go into a bar or meet a woman on Match.com and I tell her, hey, let me tell you how I'm different than all the other guys, that makes me a slime ball, right? They'll know you're different by the way you talk about it. How you talk about beauty and self-esteem, and how a smile can open doors to a new relationship, or how we communicate to the world when you go to another country and you don't even speak the same language. It's a smile. 95% of who we are is covered by clothing, and there's your smile right there. And people will treat you differently. And in fact, people with poor smiles are discriminated against. You think they don't have money. You think they're sad. You think they're depressed. When in fact, they just have a smile issue. So when you see a reversal in a smile, you see changes in the people. In life, and I try to have dentists explain this to me on my show, that in life, if you don't like something about yourself, it holds you back. Like with you don't have hair, right? My buddy Gary Takis, who is in, but for some people, they could care less about their hair. For other guys, they're destroyed with their receding hairline, right? So the message is, if you don't like your smile, if you don't like the gap between your front teeth, small things can make big changes in your life. And that's the strong message. So my tip number one, when you're putting video on the web, quit talking about you. Marketing is not about you. Marketing is about them. I see these signs, and they're cute. I love these signs. I want to be positive about this, by the way, because these signs that say, I love my dentist. Okay? You've seen those signs, Howard?
Yep.
Now, those are great. But I'd rather on social media see, I love my smile. Or vote a best smile in 10 counties, or something clever like that, because it's less about the dentist and more about the results. It's a shift. When we look at Clear Choice, whether you like them or not, you know what their videos, if you Google Clear Choice commercials, 10 seconds on how miserable. This is the recipe. You ready for this? And this isn't a trade secret. It's online. 10 seconds, no more than 10 seconds, about how miserable their teeth were before or their life. And the rest is about the 3 to 5 things that have improved in their life now that they have their smile back. That's a recipe for every person listening to this or watching this as far as how do I shoot a testimonial. Tell the patient, spend 8-9 seconds on how bad things were, what you had done, and then talk about what's improved in your life. That's exciting to watch. That's what's going to differentiate you in the marketplace.
So review that commercial. Say this commercial. Just say it.
Okay. As far as
the 10
timing,
seconds, how bad it was, and then talk about.
Yeah. So, for example, just to give you an example, the client might say, before I, he's a fireman. This is just a commercial I just saw the other day. He's a fireman. He says, my teeth were bad. I mean, it was embarrassing. I couldn't even laugh at jokes. Now, somebody tells a joke, I can laugh. And now I could tell stories. I could get up close and personal. My breath is great. I feel good. And I didn't know what to do before. And then I found Clear Choice. But the point is that model is powerful. Quit talking about how great you are. Look, dentists come on my show, and they'll want to talk about how they're different the whole time. And they want to talk about dentistry the whole time. And I say, look, if I'm trying to make you sound like every dentist in America, then let's talk about dentistry and preserving bone and building bone and bone, 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 bone. Or we could talk about eating and chewing and laughing, right? And getting back what you used to have. Like dental implants, it's the third set of teeth, right? And you could imagine, I mean, I love this topic. I'm speaking this weekend at the North American Society of Periodontics. I speak it every year, and it's how to talk about implants at the emotional level. And so I think that videos on the web need to have that recipe. If I'm trying to sell weight loss, by the way, and I do, some of the most successful people in the weight loss business are my clients, and I coach them. I'm a media coach to the show The Doctor's TV with Drew Orden. He's the plastic surgeon. But you have to talk about results. And if I'm trying to sell you weight loss, guess what? I'm going to tell you, look, the obesity epidemic is bigger than ever. More and more kids are getting type 2 diabetes. It turns out that the overweight people, they don't care about that. What they care about is, tell me how I can lose weight. Tell me how to eliminate my cravings, right? And then once I do, how I'm going to feel. The overweight person doesn't want to hear about the belly flopping over. That's why selling prevention is difficult. And too many doctors are selling or talking about dentistry in a preventive way rather than a results-driven way. That's what separates Vidal Sassoon. He didn't talk about hair or shampoo. He talked about how hair could make you feel better about yourself, how it could enhance your charisma, make you look taller, give you a stronger chin. And so that's what I spend all of my time doing, and many people don't know that that's what I really, what our productions are, is because I want to put their message on steroids. I want to help them come up with a compelling message that's benefit-based, based on what their patients are looking for. We want to create, if we do a good job, we create a need where one didn't exist before. If we do a good job, or you do a good job with your videos on your website, they're afraid to go to someone else. So look, marketing is not rocket science, but there's a science to it. Moving human beings to take action, there's a science to it. So you have to stir their emotions. And for all the reasons why somebody would want to improve the smile, they have their reasons, not my reasons. Anyway.
So you said you're recently Signal. I've been recently Signal since 2010, and so I finally tried to put a profile up on Plenty of Fish, and they denied me. They said, dude, you're a whale. Lose 50 pounds and come back. Hey, some of the guys tell me that I've talked to about you getting ready for this, they said, I wanted to do this, but I don't really have a unique selling proposition. I'm not an implant doctor. I don't want to advertise prevention implants. I don't place them. I don't like doing dentures. I'm not really a cosmetic dentist. What if I'm just your 80 percentile family practice that sees kids, adults, grandmas, and we just have cleanings, exams, x-rays, fillings, and crowns? How does this really work if you're just the typical family physician, dentist,
Well, if you don't feel like what you're doing is unique, it's probably not a good idea to do a 30-minute program and put it on TV. But advertising allows people. It's like I was talking to Gary Takis this morning. You know who Gary Takis is, right?
Yeah,
He's
he
right
lives
in
in
your
my
neighborhood.
backyard. He's whenever I can't lecture, he's my go-to man. He's come in as a blind twice. First time I ran a marathon, I couldn't walk the next day. So I called Gary and he drove over and did the study club. He's a great guy.
Well, one of the things he mentioned this morning, because he's going to do another program with me, is they had a record year at his Life Smiles office. He says, but there's a lot of people that we can help that don't even know about us, right? So he wants to do, as he called it, external marketing, and he wants to use this non-salesy platform to get the message out there. But to answer your question, what about the general dentist? The fact of the matter is we know one thing, and this is why I think my dental shows work better than my plastic surgery shows, my diabetes shows, my cancer center shows, because people don't like going to the dentist. People are afraid of the dentist. It's like doing your taxes. It's not something you want. It's worse than doing your taxes. And so if you go on the program just talking about cleaning and flossing, and if they like you, I always like to think that my show is a lot about nothing, that in the privacy of their own home, they're watching you either on their computer or on TV, and they go, and let's say they're watching you, Howard, they go, I like this guy, or I can't stand this guy. So the only people that respond to these programs, if you're a general dentist, are people that like you. And as we know, statistically, most people don't go to a dentist. And see, dentists have been hanging out with themselves so long, they think that we all know a dentist. Well, they don't. That's why long form is nice for TV, and these 3 to 5 minute short clips are nice because it lowers their fears. And by contrast, if you talk about dentistry in the right way, by contrast, it makes you look better. And that's one of the weapons of influence is contrast principle, that it makes you look better and smarter and sharper and friendlier than you really are.
What's Gary Takis' dental office? What's their?
I think it's called Life Smiles.
It's called Lifesmiles, www.lifesmiles.com. Now, is Gary going to do the infomercial for his own dental office, or would he have the dentist do it?
Yeah, I'm going to interview Dr. Nielsen.
Dr. Nielsen?
Yeah.
And so, but in answer to my question, their office isn't really a niche. I mean, it's not really an implant practice or like our buddy Gordon Wilson, who's really a LANAP, laser, periodontist, or affordable dentist. So is it going to be more of a...
It'll be more of a general dentistry show. How small improvements made to your smile could make a big difference in how you feel about yourself. And what's new in dentistry, whether it's same-day dentistry or CEREC dentistry, with digital, getting rid of your metal amalgam fillings, etc., that it doesn't have to be sizzling hot or exciting, because 30-minute blocks are so cheap at $200 a half an hour in Arizona that like Howard, if I met you 2 years ago and you just aired your show once a week, and by the way, there's also $100 airtime in Arizona. But if you just aired it once a week for $100, chances are when the need came and their tooth is hurt or cracked a tooth or whatever happened, they're going, who's that guy I always see? I like that guy. And so people, as Mary Kay said, they're more likely to do business with someone they know over someone they don't know. And the nice thing, look, everybody's trying to differentiate themselves. And as Sam Walton said, he said, go where they're not. Very few people are on TV on a 30-minute program talking about this. So really, you're going where they're not. It makes you stand out.
What are the buzzwords? Like you talked about same-day crowns, and I always make the joke. And when I say this, I have a CEREC machine, and I had a CEREC machine before anybody lecturing on it. He had one. Hell, I had one in 89, CEREC 1, then I had the CEREC 2. So, I mean, I've had a CEREC more years than a lot of the dentists even buy one. But I always say that, tongue-in-cheek, the fact that if I tell 100 people they need a crown, asking for it in the same day will be the dead last questions. I mean, half the questions are going to be, how much does it cost? Will my insurance pay? Can I make payments? I don't get paid till Friday. Half will be finance. Then it switches over to fear. Am I going to get a shot? Is it going to hurt? Can you knock me out? Can you give me laughing gas? I mean, maybe twice a month, some busy guy like you will come in and say, is there any way I can get it? So my question is, what are the big buzzwords for the consumer? We're dentists. We overthink. We see this. I mean, there's cosmetic dentistry. There's implants. There's can you put me to sleep? There's same-day dentures. What same-day crowns? What are the big buzzwords that the 330 million Americans think about? that are
Well,
normal people and not dentists?
since we know one thing, we know they don't like going to the dentist. So if they can make minimal trips, not have to be referred out to many different offices or specialists, if they could do everything under one roof, that's more of a lure. That's more of a seduction to lower the barrier to have them come in. But you're right. Same day. Could you imagine if everybody, and I know that the guy, Joel, I see him on TV. He's doing a great job. He's excellent on TV talking about this same day dentistry, CERAC, same day dentistry. And there's going to be a lot of people that, whether you're a high roller or a low roller, that want to minimize your trip to the dentist. So that's a way to get them in the door. Now, of course, once they're there, that's a different story. So I think the big buzz is this, because remember what we're trying to do. With any of your advertising or any of your videos, you're trying to give people a reason to do this. Let me quote a guy that sold $130 million worth of mops on TV. Have you heard of OxyClean, Howard?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the guy that invented that, and he died, but
And they found cocaine in his blood, didn't they, when he died?
I don't know about that.
Well,
He was hanging out with Gary Takis. I know that.
The Shamu guy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the newspaper
I
said.
think he did. I think he had some issues and some heart issues. But the point is, I was listening to him talk, and he goes, and he was selling mops. He said, we caused a problem where one didn't exist before with our advertising. He said that morning, it was a woman demographic. I love his story. He said they woke up, they had a mop. He was selling mops. He goes, and their mop was fine. They could care less about their mop. They weren't thinking about their mop. He said, but then they stumbled onto our infomercial. He goes, and then we showed all the nice and fun things you could do with our mop. Make cleaning fun, right? And he said, by the end of the infomercial, these women looked at their mop like, this is the biggest piece of junk in the world, right? And they're going, I need this mop. It's going to make my life better. They weren't physically saying that, but that's how they felt. And they bought the mops, $130 million worth. And that's the way it is with a well-done video on your show. You can create a need where one didn't exist before with techniques by letting them know you understand their fears, you understand what they're going through, and that in one afternoon, their whole life could be transformed. So talk about a buzzword out there. The fact of the matter is, in one afternoon, it may be 7 different trips, but in one afternoon, when it's all done, your life has changed. In fact, they look in the mirror, and that day, with the tears, they realize one thing. It's the first day of the rest of their life. Now, by the way, talk about buzzwords. That's a way to talk about this in a way that nobody's talking about it. Very few, except for like Bill Dorfman and a handful of guys. And that's why when I hear things like oral health being talked to a patient, here's the truth. Because you're a dentist, right? We don't call it oral health. Nobody calls it oral health. They call it clean teeth, healthy gums. They don't call it oral health. It's like if I want, I don't speak Spanish, but if I was speaking Spanish and you didn't, it'd be hard to understand me. So if you're going to use dental language like oral health or aesthetic zone, these are things that are going over the patient's head. So you have to go back to the basics. And that's why this is a big topic. I talk for days on this topic, on how to deliver a message that's tailored to the patient and impossible to refuse. And that's another topic. That's why before I create any kind of an advertisement, and this is the key to the whole thing. Have you ever heard this, Howard, where somebody says, Randy, I'm bad for TV, or they'll tell you, Howard, I'm terrible. It took them 2 hours just to get 2 minutes from me. Have you ever heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
Here's why. And Martin Scorsese said this on an interview. He said, to be a good director, you have to know the lines better than the actor you're directing. You have to know the motivation better than the actor. So what happens when you hire a high-end crew that they're experts on lighting, they make you look good, but if they don't know your lines, if they don't know what you're trying to achieve, they're not going to give you good advice. And so with me, I know your lines because for 16 years, I've been hearing what patients ask, what their fears are, what their hesitations are, what drives them, what motivates them. So as a director, I have a bit of leverage. And that's the kind of secret sauce to this whole thing. That when a client comes to me, I'm going to help them deliver their message based on them. But when they fall apart and choke here, very quickly, I'm going to adjust it and let them know what they wanted to say based on what we talked about on all the pre-production meetings and dress rehearsal meetings. And so literally, I do a 9-video package, a total infomercial, 8 other videos in 45 minutes. That's it. You're in my studio for 3 hours because we talk about other things, but it's 45 minutes. And I shoot it like a movie. I don't just shoot a bunch of stuff and then clip it together later. I look at everything as a scene. And I don't, until we've nailed one scene with my 4 cameras, we don't go to the next. So that's the basics of how it works. So if you're going to hire somebody to produce your videos, you better make sure that they understand what your patients want. If they're a denture wearer, what are the problems with wearing a denture? And also, what do they want out of life? Do they want no more adhesive? Do they want to have confidence? Do they want to start kissing again? Do they want to touch the roof of their mouth with wine? And so, because you have to stir all of those emotions. And I think too many people have videos produced by people that don't get it. And that's why I think you need to hire somebody that has a proven track record and understands your demographic.
My mom told me not to do your show because she told me I have a face for radio. She said, you don't want to sit next to that good-looking, handsome guy. Hey, I want to ask if you do me a favor. You know you're going to lecture to the Periodontist Association?
Yes.
They're having a lot of internal struggles because periodontal gum surgery has really moved to implantology, and they just had a big vote where they wanted to change their name from the American Academy or the American Periodontist Association to the American Periodontist and Implant Association, and it was a tiebreaker. I mean, it was like 49-51, and you're an outside, non-emotional, you're not a periodontist. Your presentation, you need to open up with that debate because you've been doing this, what do you say, 16 years?
Yeah, 16 years.
You've been doing this 16 years, so you need to go in that and realize that half your audience wants to leave it as periodontist, half want to leave as implantologist, and the young ones want to go implantologist, and the old guys are, I've always been a periodontist, and you should really address that. That'd be a great aside. And as far as the oral health, it's kind of funny. The United Kingdom changed it from oral cancer to mouth cancer because if you get on Google and type in oral anything, you're going to pull up about 50 million porn sites, and you'll never get – I'm serious. That's why they did it. You're never going to get to oral cancer. You're going to get 1,000 porn sites.
I mean, there comes a time where you do say oral health face-to-face, but I wouldn't I wouldn't make it a big part of what you're doing because it's not the language we speak. I know men, when we're out, we're hanging out, right? For the women that are listening, we don't talk about oral health. We say, yeah, I got to get in and go and see the dentist, right?
So I just want to ask you more consumer stuff because okay. I think a lot of the dentists think they're patient-focused, but they're not really. They're dentist-focused. If you – for all the women in the United States, what % get their teeth clean because they want whiter, brighter, sexier teeth? And what % get their teeth clean because they don't want to get cavities and gum disease and be a dentulous when they're a grandma?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have the answer.
But what would your gut tell you?
My gut would tell me that people want the whiter, brighter teeth. Yeah. And the side effect, the bonus is the fact that they're going to get healthy and they're going to feel good and they're going to have fresh breath. And those type of things. What are the facts?
Well, in my clinic, I mean, my dental office and all, which today's dental, I would tell boys, in high school to brush their teeth, and they wouldn't even make eye contact. And then and flossing, I mean, you might as well just you hand them floss, they think it's a broken yo-yo, they don't even know what it is. And then you start telling them when they're freshmen in high school, I'll just take out my mask and I'll say, buddy, I'm wearing a mask, and I can smell your bad breath. I swear to God, you talk to any girl in high school, she's going to run away and say, that guy's got stinky breath, and she's never going to talk to you again. If you don't start brushing and flossing your teeth before you go to high school, you're never going to date a girl, and you end up going to be a Catholic priest someday because you don't floss your teeth, and their eyes get huge.
And I agree. Now, that's powerful. Now, that's a strong presentation. That is powerful. They could relate to that. You didn't have to worry about being professional. You told the truth. It's called truth in selling. That it's like the hygienist that's saying the numbers 4, 5, 6, 5s, whatever. But they don't really tell. And oftentimes they don't tell the patient what's really going on.
I think more boys and girls would brush and floss. And I say, and you can tell adults, dude, you don't want to be the guy at work that everybody says in the bathroom, I hate it when he comes into my desk and talks because I can smell his freaking gum disease and his decay in my cubicle. You don't want to be the guy at work where everybody's like, oh my God, he's got bad breath. Don't be that guy. You got bad breath, dude. And you got bad breath because you got cavities, gum disease, you don't brush, you don't floss. I'm looking at the chart. You haven't been in here for 3 years for a cleaning. You got 4 cavities I told you about 3 years ago. And I know if I went to your job, everyone would tell me you're the guy with bad breath.
And by the way, that's a video to put on the website.
Yeah, well, maybe we should do this.
Be less professional is what I'm saying. Be a real person like that. Now, that was real, and that's compelling. You played that to a high school class, and these guys are in there.
So all these, I love that train, by the way. I grew up in Kansas. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and my grandma's house in Parsons, Kansas was literally 100 feet from a railroad train. I love this.
I leave that train out of our marketing material because we have to stop all the time because of it when we're taping.
Well, actually, I'm in Phoenix, which is on I-10, and most people haven't really thought about I-10 a lot, but I-10 goes from L.A. To Phoenix, to Tucson, El Paso, Houston, all the way to the West Coast. So your choice is either drop off, a boat drops off his stuff and puts it all on trains and moves it to the other side, or you have to sail 2 weeks down the Panama Canal, pay $140,000 to cross, and then sail back up. So the train by my house is on storage. When I climb up some of these mountaintops, you look at these trains, I mean, they're miles long. I mean, just nonstop double-deckers cutting up and down I-10. So a lot of dentists are sitting there thinking the bottom line is search engine optimization. They want their website to show. When someone goes in there and types in Oklahoma City dentist and there's, 500 dentists in the metro, they want theirs on page 1. If I shoot these 30-minute infomercial and 8 short 1 to 5 minutes, and I put these videos on my website, does that help my search engine optimization as opposed to the guy across the street who bought his website in a can 5 years ago at a convention and hasn't updated it with a blog or anything new in 5 years?
Yes. So the answer is yes, if you do it right. I've been putting videos on the web since you could put videos on the web. So I've learned a few things over the years. And the thing is you could, for search engine optimization, you could use these videos, by the way. Let's just suppose we do a 5-minute interview about single tooth implant. I'm just going to use single tooth implant, right? And why it may be a better idea over traditional bridge, right? Now, if you put that on YouTube, you promote it through Google AdWords at $10 a day, you're going to get and this is really the number, 20,000 views on a $10 a day budget on YouTube. Now, what is that going to do? Because it adds credibility. So when you're Google searching a video, right, and let's say you have it on single tooth implant, one has 800 views, the other one has 50 views, and one has 28,000 views, it turns out, according to Google, not my hunch, that Google says that people are more likely to click on the one with the most views. So it has more power and more credibility, and it will organically go to the top or closer to the top of the search engines. Because and this is a big topic too, because look, you can either, as they say, write creative content, trick the search engines into finding your site, or you can go directly to Google inexpensively and ask Google, hey, Google, and by the way, you could call their 866 number, Google AdWords. You ask them, I'm in Arizona, I'm in Scottsdale. How are people searching for dentists here? Don't leave it based on your gut feeling. Ask them. And you know what? They will tell you. So you do your search engine optimization based on what they tell you, not based on your hunch or what you read in an article. It's really that simple. I mean, look, just like in dentistry, the most successful plastic surgeon in the country, highest paid guy in the world, Grant Stevens, is my client. And I get to pick his brain. What are you doing for Google search? What are you doing? How are you handling objections? How are you answering the phones? How are you handling price, et cetera? And there's a common theme throughout. And they all almost unanimously, just like the big guys, are doing Google AdWords, and they're promoting their YouTube videos. And they're doing more and more videos every single day. A video can hurt you, by the way. Bad content can hurt you. You mentioned something I want to address. Most people will tell me, and I mean most, Randy, I'm not a handsome guy, or they'll say I have a face for radio or whatever. And the fact of the matter is that attractiveness, especially on programs like this, especially when you're trying to sell something, there's an expression, never get caught selling, it seems like the more unattractive the person, the better they do on my show. And like Larry King, #1 talk show host in the world, he will never win a beauty contest. Larry King, right? And the list goes on because it's content. The reason why, look, Oprah, when she first came along, overweight African American woman. Now she's beautiful. She's Oprah because of her message. And sometimes if you have a good-looking guy that comes on my show and he's flawless and his eyebrows are perfect, right? He comes on. He may turn off a lot of the women. He may turn off a lot of the guys, like, oh yeah, I know guys like that. But you get a regular-looking guy with a powerful video and content that can smile and talk. You've got a winning formula.
That is amazing. So what do you I've only got you for 10 minutes less, and this has been amazing. So what does Henry Schein have you do?
Well, they have. I'm on their list. I'm on their list of services. Is what it is. In their surgical division, 38 of their reps. I'm on their big giant list of services.
You did their CEO Stan Bergman, didn't you?
I did not. No.
Oh, you didn't do that? Huh? I thought I saw something. And then what's your relationship with Nobel Biocare?
Nobel has been big for me. Very big. About 9 years ago, some of my clients were Nobel clients. Nobel heard about it. So basically, if you order, I think it's $25,000 worth of dental implants, they cut me a check for the entire production. And they've done that over 200 times. And so they've been very good to me. I don't have a contract with them. I have an agreement, though, that I'm going to give them. I give them a few bonus clips for doing that. But that's what Nobel does because they sell more implants.
How long have you been doing that with Nobel?
What's that?
How long have you been doing that with Nobel?
Probably 8 or 9 years.
And how long ago did they got bought by Danaher? Wasn't that just last year?
I think it was, and I don't have the inside scoop with Nobel, but I can tell you that I'm still on their practice perks.
So that didn't change anything when you got bought by?
It has not yet. But more and more now, companies, implant companies, even the mini implant guys, Todd Shakin, who is the biggest name in mini implants,
right?
It probably sends me 2 people a week, and I'm trying to. Because, mini implants can be or small diameter can be very controversial, right? And then my oral surgeon buddies and my periodontists want to disown me. So it's
well, it's a shame that it's controversial because what it comes down to is market segmentation. I mean, a mini implant is anything 3 millimeter diameter or less. But what you have here is you have these oral surgeons, and grandma has got dentures and she's miserable, and she goes in there and the oral surgeon or periodontist recommends, 6 implants on the lower, 6 on the upper. I mean, all on 4 is $25,000 an arch. So they always present this amazing Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, and I get it. But what they don't realize, on a planet with 7 billion people, 3 billion live on $3 a day. And in America, half of this country does not have $50,000 to improve their dentures. So then when someone like Todd Shakin comes along and says, well, we have, we can do a Mercedes-Benz. Every one of the mini implant guys can do a Mercedes-Benz. But we've got a Chevy. And we're going to place some minis, and we're going to do something low cost. And that's how I present it. I don't like to present, you want to do implants or nothing, because then half the people say nothing. I'll say, well, here's what we can do. We can place 2 implants and a snap-on, $5,000. We can place 4 implants and a bar, and, that's $10,000. Or we could place 6 implants and a bridge that won't even come out of your mouth. It's $25,000. Do you want to do 5, 10, or 25? What is your budget? What kind
I like that, by the way. And Howard,
and those guys that badmouth the dentist treating the poor. When I come from a family, my mom and dad were Catholic. They had 7 kids in 3 days, and we were so poor we didn't know we were poor till we were about 10. It took me 10 years to figure out. Damn, we don't have any money. I didn't even know what I can go on for hours, but the bottom line is anybody knocking dentists treating the poor just ain't my friend. I mean, I think business should be about making everything faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost. And if you can't introduce market segmentation, look at GM. They got a Chevy. Got a little more money, a Pontiac. A little more an Olds. A little more a Buick. And if you got a lot of money, a Cadillac. That's how business should be done.
I could not agree more. We have an online training program, Alvarez U, and I discussed that. Some people could call it good, better, best. Some people could say give them an alternate choice of a couple of options to just take care of their immediate needs. But I agree that and I think the guys, they don't poo-poo the mini implants. They don't get it. They don't believe it works because they don't see it in their practices. Just like consultants will badmouth what we do. Oh, I don't know. Infomercials don't work, right? Or that you can't get 5 to 1 or 10 to 1 or 20 to 1. And I know that they're honestly in their heart of hearts, they believe that because they don't see it. Just like I started with a integrative medicine practice, and we were reversing type 2 diabetes every single day just with food. But an endocrinologist from Mayo said that can't be done because the Mayo Clinic endocrinologist at the time in 2005 never saw it in their practice. Well, now it's turned out to be true. So the same thing with marketing, that, look, it's typical. Like Todd Shatkin sent out an email, made an announcement. He did $475,000 in mini implants, and he spent $3,500 with me to do it. People don't believe it. I'm hiring new salespeople, and they say, and I said, we're in a business. We're the leader in what we do, but we're in a business where people just don't believe it. They don't believe it. If they call my references, and I could give you 100 people that have been on and using my show for more than 10 years, but it is messaging. There's no, if I didn't have I don't consider myself a TV guy. I consider myself a marketing guy. And I know we're out of time, but if you're going to put video on the web, it's not about you, it's about them. Talk about results, results, results. And oral cancer, you mentioned it earlier. It's a scary thing. You know, people don't want to hear about it. It's like, oh, geez, now they're going to do an oral cancer on me. You know, scan. Oh my God, I don't even want to know. You know the type, right? I think that some of those things should probably be mentioned in person rather than in an ad.
So I'm Howard at dentaltown.com. The man who does all the technical and puts this together is my son Ryan over here. Ryan at dentaltown.com. Why don't we sit there and do a series? Why don't you, when you're done, have Gordon Wilson, Todd Shatkin, Bill Dorfman, Winter Holler. Who was the other one you said? Oh, Gary Takis. Who was your other client that you're?
Well, Gary's not using it yet, but I mean, I have hundreds of guys. I have Picos. I mean, these are legends in
oh my
surgery.
God, Picos is amazing.
So
oh my God, he's amazing. I podcast interviewed him in New York City. But well, if you got an email list, send them an email, and any of them that you can round up over the next week or so, and we'll start with you, and then we'll go back to back, talk about how they took their, because I know what my homies are thinking. I know how they work, and they're going to want to hear dentists believe dentists the most. I mean, we see that in all our research.
And we have that. Look, if
Nobel Biocare tells you something about, any dental company tells you something, about 9% of the dentists will listen and swallow it hook, line, and sinker. But most of them, 91, 92% say, no, I want to hear it from another dentist. I want to hear it from a colleague.
I'll arrange this forum to do this, but not only do we know that it works, but it's how they're presenting it. Like Gordon Wilson, I'm just going to mention gum disease, right? Not sexy to talk about. He's not talking about inflammation. He's not talking about preventing type 2 diabetes or inflammation markers or things like that. He's talking about no more bleeding gums, no more bad breath, no more loose teeth, no more flaring teeth. He's talking about the benefits, not all of the systemic problems associated with this bacterial infection. And it's that shift in presentation is why is he successful, not just because of Randy Alvarez or the infomercial that he did. But yeah, so if they email me, they could go to randy@wellnesshour.com. I'll send them a list of names and numbers of these doctors if they call them. And I'd love to do something where we could have a discussion with guys that are using my show, doing well over $1 million a year doing it, and regular guys. Because a lot of people say, oh, well, Picos or Bill Dorfman. My most successful clients are just guys you've never heard of, just regular guys that in our little sleepy towns across America that aren't dynamos. They're not like Bill Dorfman or David Hornbrook. They're just regular guys who said, Randy, I never have advertised in my life. I don't like it, right? But it is the Google account.
Well, that's the funniest thing, because if you go to, I was in MBA school, and, we spent a lot of time looking at business for sales, and I've been in dentistry 20 years. Every time I meet a dentist doing $1 million, taking home $350, they're always in a nowhere town in middle America. They're not in any town you've ever heard of. And when you go for business brokers, anytime you want to buy a business where they do $3 million in sales, and they take home $1 million. It's some town of 5,000 or 10,000 out in the middle of Bumblebutt, Midwest, and just the backbone of our economy is just these rural small towns. And that's what you're saying, that if you're that guy out there.
Montana is $8 per half hour. Brewer Dental, he says they're $18 million a year practice with 15 dentists. They're one of my clients. But the bigger the market, you just know that there's more competition. There's more people advertising. And the nice thing is very few people have infomercials, so this is one of those unique ways to stand out.
But again, where we started the show is that these bigger markets have upgraded their technology so they can break up this market. Like you can break up the Phoenix market. I mean, I can advertise right on
Well,
cable,
you can,
a
yes.
smaller area.
Yes, infomercial generally it blankets a 1 hour, 2 hour radius, but whereas 30-second spots you could go zip codes and go smaller. But yes,
Oh,
the answer is
but the long commercial is not broken up, just the
is
short.
usually a big area, and all that matters is that you hit everybody in your neighborhood or within 10, 15 minutes, and consider yourself lucky to get the people that drive an hour and a half to
I
2 hours.
just want to say one thing that when you go through these top things like fear, people want to be put to sleep. You can bring in a dental anesthesiologist. That's a hell of a lot easier than going through docs and learning yourself. You want to market implants. Look at Clear Choice. I mean, my genius buddy Don Maloney. I mean, he's not placing all these implants. You can find a periodontist oral surgeon from the next town over to come put them in.
I agree with what
You
you're
know.
saying. Yeah, like Tony Feck. Tony Feck. You mentioned docs.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Tony Feck is? He was top for anyway. He's one of these guys that started off slow with me, and now he'd be a great guy to be on the show. But he does about 30 to 50 to 1 return on his money every month. It doesn't hardly spends any money because he's on the road lecturing. My typical client, they don't want to work more, they want to work less, but they want to do more of the bigger cases. But if you're a general dentist just doing bread and butter dentistry, then we have to tailor the show based on that. So,
Well, send each of these guys individually email. Humans, if you send a group email, everyone thinks someone else responded. Send individual emails like Tony Feck and CC Howard at dentaltown.com and Ryan at dentaltown.com. And I think if we had some blood and gut dentists following this podcast, if we had.
well, they'll do it.
Yeah, well, send them my way.
I'll just call them and they'll just do it.
Okay, well, hey, dude, Josh, thank you so much for spending an hour with me. Like I say, you can tell everybody that you're the only person that Sloppy Howard put a tie on because I knew you were going to be so handsome and charming and all pretty with hair. So I put on a tie so I wouldn't stand out and be too much of a freak.
Howard, I want to invite you at a no charge to come in my studio. Let me just interview you about something. We're close. You're 50-minute trip.
Yeah, one Southwest Airlines. I'm just one free drink away from. I always get the Southwest. The you only have to pay like $10 or $15, and you get the first board first. It's their first class version, which is nice because when you go through TSA, you can go to the first class deal in Southwest. That's a little unknown thing. But yeah, you're an hour away, and but anyway, you said come down there.
Yes, I'd love to see you in here.
Carlsbad, isn't that where Sally McKenzie is?
I don't know who that is.
Sally McKenzie. She was the big name consultant when I got it. It was Sally McKenzie, Jennifer St. George, and Linda Miles. She's a legend, and she's out there in Carlsbad.
Because I don't go to a lot of dental conferences. I do more medical as far as the conference side, so I don't know a lot of these names. But I mean,
Okay.
I've heard those names and those legends.
Yeah,
I know Linda Miles.
and have your team send me an email of what we could do for because at the end of the day, I mean, my heart and soul is in my dental office, todaysdental.com. I mean, Dentaltown is a side thing I do for fun, but I'm a dentist. I would cry if I never. Yesterday, I did 2 root canals back to back on one little scared 30-year-old girl, and that's the most fulfilling thing I do. So todaysdental.com. It's in Phoenix, 85044. Have your people send me a deal of what that would all be.
And Howard, can I go on Dentaltown, by the way? As a non-dentist, I'm allowed to go on Dentaltown?
Absolutely. And the reason
I've been warned, by the way, that they're going to attack me.
No.
They're going to give me a hard time.
Well, some things are hard to change. And back in the day, the number one mistake I did on Dentaltown, and when we started that in 1998, is I thought, we're all adults, we're all dentists. I'm not going to regulate anybody. And I didn't understand cyberbullying. People got telling me this guy's a sociopath. He's ruining the deal. And finally, Howard Goldstein is a 60-year-old dentist out in Bethlehem, and he'd been telling me. Finally, about 5 years ago, I convinced him to sell his practice and just be the full-time moderator. And our 5 programmers put on a report abuse, and we just started banning someone like every week.
Really?
Just
Okay.
banned for life. And that was 5 years ago. We cleaned up. If you can't say something, so the model is this. A lot of dentists say, "Oh, I have freedom of speech." That's between you and the Constitution. You have freedom of speech to your government, but Dentaltown is private property. You do not have the freedom. If you think you can come in my house and start rattling off bad stuff, I have freedom to shoot you dead. Okay? And I tell them Dentaltown, and the reason I called it Dentaltown is because a lot of vendors started coming on, and they said, "Hey, these guys are selling something." And I'm like, "Well, what are you, a volunteer? What do you do? Free dentistry in Parsons, Kansas? Pretty sure you charge money." And I looked at the dental industry, and if I took it closed down about 500 companies, I can't be an awesome dentist. And I knew those dental companies needed to be on there, because if all the dentists were saying, Randy makes everything red and it'd be so nice if it was blue, Randy Alvarez needs to know that. We all need to work together. There's 2 million dentists on the planet Earth, and there's about 5,000 dental companies, and I can't live without about 500 of them. And I want those guys to be on the site so that if all the dentists say your stuff is too thick, it needs to be thin, your implant's too narrow, it needs to be fat and short and wide, they all need to know that. And a lot of the sharpest CEOs, you know what the sharpest CEOs do? You take 3M, you take Dan Fisher Volchant, every year they fly like a dozen of the most posting townies to their headquarters, because they want to make sure they know these people and that these people know their product and all this stuff like that. So yeah, it's Dental Town. I own Dentist Town. I did in the beginning. I don't even know what that is anymore. But it's Dental Town because guys like you need to come in there. In fact, I think you should do an online CE course. We put up 350 courses. They've been viewed over 500,000 times.
Wow.
You should put up and I got the idea because I'm in Phoenix, and I have Streets University of Phoenix online. I saw that thing exploding. So back in the day, I think I started in 1994. We said, well, we'll just start doing online CE courses, and it's beyond huge. I think you should just do a generic course on marketing and advertising, and then tell them about what you know. They'll figure out what you do, and then talk about how it's moving to video and how all this stuff works, and give them an
really,
hour.
I'd like to talk about the art of human influence, because we're talking about motivating human beings to take action, whether it's in video or face-to-face or on TV. And so I'd love to do it. Sure.
And what I love also the most about online CE is seriously is that there's about 20 countries where all the dentists and patients are like us. And then there's big swaths of Africa, Asia, and Latin America where they don't have access to all this CE. And my online CE, I've walked into dental schools where the dean, once she figured out it was me, just burst out bawling and holds me and hugs me and everything, because all their dental books are like 20 years old, and they're in like Mandarin Chinese or French. And I've walked in dental schools in Tanzania, Ethiopia, Kathmandu, and they're all on Dental Town. And these 350 courses, like Picos, I was telling Picos, I don't give a shit about you educating American dentists to be a little bit better in implantology. You're starting from scratch in hundreds of countries. A dentist in a Congo has no access to anything if it's not on YouTube or it's not free. And Dental Town, when we put the Dental Town app on the smartphone, 40,000 dentists from all around the world downloaded it, and they're sitting there on their Samsung in Africa learning how to do fillings, crowns, and root canals. And being an Irish boy, it makes me think of St. Patrick, who's associated with the three-leaf clover. That was his prop to teach the Trinity, the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost. And now the Shamrock is the smartphone, and you'll be teaching people how to advertise. Because go back to Africa. Look at Africa. When HIV was out of control, how did they stop it? Not with a vaccine, not with a cure. It was advertising.
Yes.
They bought the airwaves, the radios, the billboards, and they went all out assault. And then what did they do? They literally crushed their HIV rate, and now it's completely plummeting every single day. So and then in those same countries, it's against the law for a dentist to advertise. You're talking to dentists that don't even think this should be legal.
Yeah.
Yet this is the facts that that's how you cured. That's how you control HIV, with billboards, radio, and TV. You didn't do it with Merck and Pfizer and Eli Lilly and Johnson & Johnson or Harvard. You did it through advertising. So guys like you prevent more disease than the doctors. That's why I want to get your message out.
Well, I want to thank you and Howard, I'm at 4% on my computer, and we don't have an extension cord long enough from the news desk.
Okay, well, we're 8 minutes over time. Okay.
But I want to thank you, and if anybody wants to contact me directly, just go to wellnesshour.com and email me. They all go to me. And thanks for coming on the program. And I'm going to call those other guys, and we'll get a group discussion, not so much about why do the Wellness Hour, but the power of advertising and how it's helped them in their practice.
All right, dude. You're an awesome dude. Thanks for your time.